It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
Six to time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Tuesday, not a Monday. But this Tuesday will make up for Monday. Don't worry about that. Hang on, I'll explain.
Today's show is sponsored by Rabid Penguin Spray, the only spray guaranteed to keep dangerous rabid penguins at bay.
See, you never know when we have a date like this. Usually it's the Monday that makes a deal with Tuesday to make up for Monday problems. But that's also going to confuse you the rest of the week because you're going to go around all day today thinking it's Monday, and it's not.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
Okay, before I get going with the topic that I picked to lead off on this Tuesday, not a Monday, I'll be doing that all morning long. Morning, Simple Man. He sends me a note on the Wake Up Wyoming app. He said, "Good morning, Mr. G." That'd be me, Glenn. I hope you had a good weekend. I did. And also, with AI learning all of this different knowledge, I wonder what's going to happen when it learns carbon footprint is not bad, but CO2 has been good since day one, and it tries to correct everybody. Well, and for that matter, let me take that a step further than that, just a little bit farther. Have you ever seen, some of you know this episode, there's an episode of Star Trek where Captain Kirk comes across an AI computer that's supposed to be like a doomsday computer. And Kirk gets in order to wreck the computer, Kirk gets into an argument with it, a logic argument, and shows the flaw in the computer's logic. And because of that, the computer starts to contradict itself and eventually just blows up. It literally destroys itself trying to figure out how it could have a contradiction, which cannot exist. That's basically what we're dealing with here. See, okay, we've told artificial intelligence. In fact, I got a story today. Let me see if I can go real quick over to my reading assignments. This is not initially what I wanted to do this morning, but that's okay. I went over to my reading assignment page just now to look for the story that has to do with big tech companies. Here it is, wanting to be zero emissions, right? Now, this is important to us because here in Wyoming, a lot of huge server farms will be located for big tech. And that's because computer tech companies like Wyoming weather. It is cool most of the year, as you've experienced. In fact, sometimes downright cold. And even on the hot days, we have pretty good wind blowing. So between good wind and cold weather, that helps keep their servers nice and cool, which means that saves a ton of money on electricity, rather than putting it into the south where God knows how much electricity they would have to run then. But in order to make these big server farms for modern computers and even artificial intelligence, they're going to have to use a lot of electricity. A lot. Which means these big tech companies claim that they're going to be green, they say, and zero emission. But they need loads of electricity, which is why around in the, for example, southeastern part of the state, Laramie County, for example, some big solar farms are going to be built in order to provide electricity for what's going to be not just big server farms, but artificial intelligence, Well, here's the problem. So they tell artificial intelligence that CO2 is a pollutant. And yet, in order to run artificial intelligence, they have to create a lot of energy with coal and natural gas. I mean, they think they're going to do it with these big solar farms, but that's not going to happen. So they're going to have to use more coal and natural gas plants than ever before to provide this electricity. So what is artificial intelligence going to do? When it realizes on its own, okay, in order for me to exist, I have to use a lot of CO2. And they told me that CO2 is bad. Artificial intelligence is going to have a problem with this. Or, as Simple Man says, then artificial intelligence realizes, but hold on, when you look at what CO2 is, it's not a pollutant. Then what? See, they might actually have a problem with this. So thanks for that, Simple Man. I hadn't really put all this together until you mentioned that. Then my brain started working. The story that I have in front of me here says, for years, tech giants in California, Washington have been leading the charge to eliminate organic fuels, coal, gas, and oil from the grid. Microsoft, Google, Meta, Apple, for example, are members of the climate group RE100, an organization of major corporations who have decided to accelerate a change toward zero carbon grids by 2040. Again, in order to do what they do, that's not possible. In 2018, Apple proclaimed that it was globally powered by nearly 100%, as they call it, renewable energy, which is not true, as you know. That's absolutely not true, but okay. The achievement includes retail stores, offices, data centers, other facilities in 43 countries, including the United States, United Kingdom, China, and India. So they boasted that in a press release. Their press release was a lie, by the way. They are not 100% or nearly that wind and solar. At first glance, the story says it might appear they managed to run its operations entirely on wind and solar, which likely promoted the idea that it's technically feasible to do. The press release includes photos of yaks grazing next to solar panels, and it highlights a number of wind and solar products that the company had built or is planning to build. The company, however, never managed to power facilities like data centers, which require 24/7 electricity without interruptions, using intermittent power from wind and solar. While the company makes no mention of this in the press release, Apple explains how it accomplished 100% renewable in its annual environmental progress report. It's a lie. And investments in high-quality carbon credits and so on to decarbonize. Again, they're trying to get rid of something that's necessary for life on this planet. Currently, the same tech companies are running into problems, this story says, as electricity demands for their data centers, which they will be building more of in Wyoming, and artificial intelligence, which is coming to Wyoming, are putting increasing pressure to produce more electricity on grid that's being deprived of energy as a result of the retirement of coal and natural gas plants. Microsoft reported a 30% rise in emissions in 2023 compared to 2022. So as they bring more data centers online, they need more electricity. And where's that coming from? The problem was a topic of Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee hearings. Joe Manchin, he's a Democrat, West Virginia, chair of the committee, said that for the past 2 decades, annual electricity demands across the U.S. have been flat. We're here today because the era we have an era coming up rapidly where more and more tech centers, server farms are going to be coming online. Between 2021 and 2023, the International Energy Agency increased its forecast for global electricity demand by 2050. They say up to 16%. I think it'll be higher. In the U.S., the story says, the increase in electricity demand driven by artificial intelligence and electrification of transportation, because they want all-electric vehicles. And they want you to have an all-electric kitchen, for example. It's going to put a huge load on the grid. Now, where are they getting all of this from? Yeah, absolutely not possible. So I think you get the idea. These big tech companies just dream on. And I want to know what Simple Man was saying, again, is what really got me thinking. So what happens if artificial intelligence goes the way they're saying? What happens when that computer one day realizes, but in order for me to exist, they had to increase the use of coal and natural gas. But they're telling me CO2 is a pollutant. But hold on, CO2 is not a pollutant. What does artificial intelligence do then?
Hey, you should try our new prescription medication. Side effects include sneezing, wheezing, labored breathing, trouble speaking, sleeping, eating, hemorrhages, internal bleeding, feeling short of breath, nausea, dry mouth, coughing, fever, blockages of the ureter, choking, bloating, tremors, seizures, coma, stroke, or death, mood swings, muscle aches, weight gain, fugue states, osteoporosis, sudden psychosis, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, masochism, vampirism, sudden necromanticism, phantom limbs, fanaticism, chronic deja vu, transient telepathy, changes in your destiny, ancient forms of leprosy, chronic deja vu, loss of hair, weight, smell, taste, balance, vision, hearing, strength, loss of memory, will to live, sense of self. Do not take this medication if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or a human person. Ask your doctor if it's right for you.
Local and mobile across Wyoming and beyond with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
6:24 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. So Wyoming is joining some other states, about 19 conservative states all total, including Wyoming, in suing California, and I think all total it's like 5 states. Here's basically what the lawsuit says. These Democrat states are trying to dictate interstate energy policy. They are passing laws, rules, regulations, which are just laws, to try to dictate what the rest of the country has to do. And there's this interstate commerce clause. They asserted 5 Democrat-led governments brought unprecedented litigation against the nation's most vital energy companies for alleged climate crisis. So in other words, if you would like to get California coal, gas, and oil out of your state, that's fine. But if Wyoming loves using coal, gas, and oil, that's none of your business. So don't sue these companies out of existence. We need them. It's not your business. So they're demanding, all of these states, including Wyoming, billions of dollars in damages. Oh, this is going to be an interesting one. They claim California, among other states, is using coercion and penalties that are harmful to traditional energy industries. So the states involved in a lawsuit are the usual suspects. Here we go, right? Alabama, Alaska, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Utah, West Virginia, Wyoming. Almost ran out of breath on that one. I made it, though, all the way through. So, all right. Here's basically what they're saying. And this is a quote from their suit. The theory advanced by these states is radical, it says. A small gas station in a rural Alabama town could owe money to the people of Minnesota simply for selling a gallon of gas, according to the Attorney General of Alabama. The customers might be liable, too. These states are welcome to enforce their preferred policies in their jurisdiction, but they do not have the authority to dictate national energy policy. See, that's up to Congress to do, not up to these other states. So hang on, I'll get more into this as the morning goes on. We're coming up on, well, wait a second now. Wait, I'm a little early. I'm sorry. I heard music playing in the background. I got a couple of minutes yet. Let me get a little more into this. The customers might be liable too, so okay. That would threaten our national security, it says, and harm millions of Americans already struggling to pay for gas and groceries. So Alabama is in on a lawsuit to protect Alabama citizens. The plot says, and the whole lawsuit says, Democrat-led states want a global carbon tax on traditional energy industries. Climate fears or fears of a climate catastrophe is what they're worried about. They seek massive penalties. And we want relief from this, is what they're saying. If defendant states are right about the substance, well, they can go. If they think this, they can go ahead and pass their own laws in their own state. We don't agree, so don't pass laws that affect us. So again, Wyoming is in on this lawsuit with 19 other states against these 5 liberal states. Quote, consequently, the courts have held in lawsuits over interstate air and water pollution, including emissions from the use of coal, gas, and oil. Under federal law, applications is, well, what we do again in our state. You can't sue us because we burn coal here and you think it affects us. You think it affects states downwind negatively. You can't do that. Again, it's up to the federal government to pass these laws, not states to pass laws that affect other states. So Wyoming is in on the lawsuit, 19 states altogether. We'll see what happens. It's got a long way to go before this even gets to the Supreme Court, if they'll even hear the case, but I hope they do. Coming up on 6:30, now I'm ready to go into the break. Local news, weather forecast. You and I get back into it again after that. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
So many opinions, we had to build the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app to hold them all. Free download from AM 1030 K2 Radio.
6:36 the time. It's a Tuesday, not a Monday. I know, kind of screws you up a little bit for those that have days off. Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. So speaking of that, Memorial Day weekend. I've often said there are certain holidays that really are for bankers and bureaucrats. Now, more people get off Memorial Day than other 3-day weekends. Most 3-day weekends are for bankers and bureaucrats. The rest of us are working. And I've said before how many times I've gotten into conversations with people who either work at banks or are bureaucrats. Well, everybody has the weekend off. Everybody does not have the weekend. Oh, yes, they do. Really? They just stop by a convenience store and refuel. Grab a couple of snacks. Who was behind the counter? All right. Did you go to the grocery store for anything? Who was there? You see any cops driving around? Ambulance, fire? You see truckers out there? I saw truckers all over the place. What else did you go to? You go to a restaurant? Now, again, Memorial Day has more people taking days off than most other 3-day weekends. But a lot of 3-day weekends, if you look into offices, there are people still working in all sorts of different offices doing all sorts of different jobs. They didn't get a 3-day weekend off. So I put up an article this morning just thanking everybody who did work during the course of your 3-day weekend. Even yesterday, Monday, which is supposed to be the actual holiday. There were a lot of people out there doing all sorts of jobs. Now, a lot of these jobs have to do with basically people being stupid. It's a Memorial Day weekend, hold my beer. You know, people got to go do all sorts of adventurous things. They drink too much. They do stupid things. And so they end up hurt, in trouble. That's why cops are out in force. Thank you, police officers, for being out there. Ambulance. Everybody's working at hospitals. Dispatchers. I mean, all over the place. There's people working like crazy. And there's just some people who had the actual weekend off. Well, I should say, let me go back, because again, I'm thinking of the long weekend. There are still some people who are working on a 3-day weekend like Memorial Day. Again, there's other 3-day weekends we're going to get to during the course of this year, which most people will be working. Bankers and bureaucrats will have that time off. So, yeah, the article I had, I just took a moment to thank all of those people. Did you have energy yesterday? You have electricity? Someone's working those places. It's not like your power plants are unmanned. I mean, even your wind and solar facilities, there's nobody at the wind turbine, but where they collect the energy and so on, there's people there. How is your water running? For those people who are living in a town, all of your utilities working, water, stuff like that? Okay, because there's still people there. I can go to all sorts of things that are considered infrastructure, and chances are there's somebody there doing something of some kind. So, yeah, I thought about a lot of people during the course of the weekend. It used to be, and it's not anymore, in radio and television, there used to be people on a Memorial Day weekend who still had to come in and work. Now, a lot of it is automated today. So when I had yesterday off, Ms. Mary had yesterday off, and this program just ran a repeat, the computer just took over. There was a time way back when everything was done manually, and so we had people at radio and TV stations 24/7 running them, even on a Memorial Day weekend. Again, not so much the case anymore, but if you go take a look at your bigger networks and bigger television stations, there are people that are there. The smaller ones, people can go home, but the bigger ones, there's always someone there. All right, so for all of those people, and I know I'm nowhere even near naming them all, but for all of those people who had to work yesterday, one of my thoughts, thank you for doing that. One of my thoughts even was, if you went to some place like here in Wyoming, we have that beautiful lake Alcova. And on a Memorial Day weekend, there's a lot of boats out there. Well, first off, they have emergency officials on standby because, there's a lot of boats on the water and beer is involved. And then, of course, there's all sorts of people working the marina, taking care of people and boats, things like that. Okay. So, again, you get the idea. And I even think of, if you go to our local airport, now, Ben, I know Wyoming doesn't have as many airports as, let's say, Colorado does, but, towered airports, there are a few in Wyoming. And even some of the untowered ones, there's people there. And they're working, because that's part of keeping the infrastructure going, too, right? All right. So I haven't even begun to touch the surface of the number of people who worked yesterday, so the rest of us can go ahead and enjoy a day off. But for everybody who was out there, thank you for that.
Hey, I've decided to become a vegan. It's a life change. The animal activists finally, they got to me, and it got into my conscience, and so I've chosen to eat vegetables for the rest of my life. 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm making breakfast, and I wanted to just introduce you. This was a Black Angus cow that identified as asparagus. She identified as a perennial flowering plant, and we're going to honor it today by cooking and eating. And so, asparagus, we miss you, we enjoy you still, and we'll remember you fondly.
Listen to Glenn Woods anywhere you roam with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
6:48 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the icebox. Frank Gambino is waiting by. Frank, I saw an interesting sporting event. I knew of it, but I hadn't seen it in quite a while. Not in person, no. I was watching it on the internet. Demolition Derby Soccer.
Demolition Derby Soccer.
So imagine a huge soccer ball.
Yeah.
Now, get a bunch of cars out there.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, right. So, of course, they're going to ram into each other as they try to get the ball up and down the court there and try to score a goal. And I think probably the most dangerous job is goalie.
Right, yeah, because you can be T-boned right there in the crease.
Oh, my Lord, yeah. And the goalie does try to sit, sideways like that to get the most,
cut off that angle.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. But people tend to run into the goalie like that. So, yeah, it was a really fun game to watch as these drivers. And by the way, that nice grassy pitch they play on.
Well, not for long.
Not for long, no. That just became a big pile of dirt and mud ruts by the time they got done with all of that. Now, I did see one other thing, and I don't know where this was. It was a soccer game where a dog got loose and decided it wanted to play too.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so the dog, after beating the ball around for a while, finally manages to pick it up in its mouth and run around. And you would be surprised how long it takes a bunch of soccer players and referees to corner a dog.
Well, the dog is playing with him.
Yes.
It's to say, you want to go over there? I'm going over there.
As far as the dog is concerned, it did nothing wrong. All of these humans were out there playing this game, so it gets to go out there and play this game too.
Perfect. That's probably better than the soccer game people went to watch.
The whole time I'm watching the video, I'm waiting for the dog to go score a goal. It never did. It just wanted to run around with the ball.
Dog, you.
Yes, exactly right, yeah. Now, if the dog was able to score a goal, then one of the teams would have to say he's on our side.
Right.
And then maybe you can go ahead and recruit a dog like that. Now, again, I don't know where this happened, but I'm on the dog side on this one. You know, you humans are out there having all the fun. We even talked about it a couple of years ago. There was a track meet at a high school. And a dog was walking by with its owner, and the dog decided, hey, I want to get in on that.
Oh, now that would be good, too.
Yes, and it ran around the track with all of the kids and, of course, won.
Of course. American Legion baseball from over the weekend. First on Saturday, the Laramie A Rangers beat the Casper Wildcatters 10-2 and 7-5. Cheyenne Post 6 over North Platte, Nebraska 6-0. And the Cheyenne Eagles lost to the Los Bandidos team out of Denver 10-7 and 8-6 in a doubleheader. Then on Sunday, the Cheyenne Sixers beat North Platte 15-5 and then lost the nightcap 8-7. Douglas over the Cheyenne Eagles 11-4 and 2-1. The Casper Drillers beat Bozeman 4-2 and also beat the Sheridan Jets 10-5. Then on Monday, the Laramie AA Rangers split a doubleheader with the Casper Oilers. Laramie won game 1-2-0, and the Oilers won the nightcap 6-1. On Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies beat the Cleveland Guardians 8-6 yesterday in Denver. So the Rockies are 19-34, and the Rockies got 6 runs in the fourth inning. Charlie Blackmon with a home run. He drove in 4 runs, and that ended Cleveland's 9-game winning streak. Rockies actually haven't played so bad. They took 2 out of 3 from Philadelphia over the weekend, and the Phillies were leading the NL East. And the NBA playoffs, Boston over Indiana is 105-102, so the Celtics win the Eastern Conference Finals 4-0. That's the second time in 3 years that the Celtics will be in the finals. And tonight will be Dallas versus Minnesota in the Western Conference Finals, and Dallas has a commanding 3-0 lead. In the Stanley Cup playoffs in hockey, Dallas over Edmonton 5-3, so the Stars lead that series 2-1. That's the Western Conference Finals. And in the Eastern Conference Finals, tonight will be Game 4, and the New York Rangers hold a 2-1 lead over Florida. That's it.
So we got some playoffs coming up.
Oh, yeah. Hockey and basketball, so
okay.
Just we'll see. Now we're moving into a new phase here. Like we'll have a lot of Legion baseball, a lot of rodeos, a lot of high school all-star games and stuff like that. So it'll be a little bit slower, but that's okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
Rodeo season going on in Wyoming.
The College National Finals rodeo starts in 2 weeks.
Okay.
3 weeks.
Okay. I was waiting to hear something because I thought this is the season. We got to be doing this. I know that because Don Day was calling for more thunderstorms in the forecast, and that means rodeo.
Yeah. Not so much in Cheyenne as legendary.
Yes.
Like during Frontiers, is it raining again?
I have seen Cheyenne Frontier days when that was nothing but mud in the arena, and I mean heavy mud. And it was actually, to me, I know it's not so hot for the people out there who are competing. But as a bystander, I'm looking at this. No, this makes it more fun.
I think a little bit.
Yeah.
But, and you know what? The people who win money in the mud are probably still a little bit more happier
probably
than you might be.
Too, yeah. And I guarantee you, everybody's taking a nice shower after.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Coming up on some local business we have to take care of. Going to roll into news time after that. National local update on your weather forecast. All of that good stuff is coming your way. Oh, and next hour of the program, I'm going to talk about how everything can kill you. Because you're supposed to be paranoid all the time, and everything is supposed to kill you. Well, this is what the news media in part tells you, right? And politicians are constantly trying to save your life, whether you want your life saved or not. So we'll talk about that next hour of the program, plus your phone calls. 888-97 Woods, the phone number. Wake Up Wyoming. 6 at a time. Wake Up Wyoming. Tuesday, not a Monday. I know it's going to screw you up a little bit, but yeah, it's a Tuesday. Thanks to everybody who worked Monday, because there were quite a few people who did not have the day off. They were out there busting their humps, especially when it comes to police and fire and ambulance and so on. Because, there's a lot of people out there screaming, "Hold my beer." and they do something stupid, and, well, they need to be rescued.
Today's show is sponsored by Rabid Penguin Spray, the only spray guaranteed to keep dangerous rabid penguins at bay.
And that's a big problem in the state of Wyoming. So, okay. 888-97, what's the phone number? 888-97-WOODS, but hold those calls for just a bit. I haven't talked about something like this in a while. As you know, when it comes to news media, controversy and hype sells. You know, if it bleeds, it leads. You've heard that before. So, because of that, anything that can possibly scare you, panic you. They don't want an article that says everything's fine, that doesn't get clicks and likes and so on. But if they have an article that creates panic, and see, it's partly our fault. Years ago, when I was working on a small network in Tampa, Florida, I met a gentleman who wanted to start a talk radio network that would have been positive, about positive topics, positive talk radio topics. Instead of, because he was actually a newsman, he was a news anchor, and he wanted negative all the time. That's what he did. That's what he did for a living. Wouldn't it be nice to have positive stories? That would be a whole lot better, wouldn't it? Okay, well, I think people would like that, he said. And so he offered me a job, and I said, I don't really think that's going to sell. I turned him down, and it didn't go anywhere. And that's because that's not what people tune into. People tune into things that are negative and controversial, unfortunately. Because there's a lot of positive news out there all the time. So, all right. In fact, there's a website I go to on a daily basis called Human Progress that talks about all these wonderful things humanity is doing. And it's not a website that's visited all that much, unfortunately. The negative ones, the controversial ones, that's what are. And news media knows this. So the reason you get so much negativity is because that's what sells. So we have to put it on ourselves. We can say, well, it's the news media's fault. Yes, but they're responding to what we consume, right? Having that in mind, all right, so I'm in Wyoming, and this story has to do with going to the beach. Yeah, I know. We don't have much for beaches in Wyoming. We do have some, but we don't have very many beaches in Wyoming. There's a few lakes out there and so on. But having grown up on an island with beaches all over the place, I'm used to this. Still, though, here's an article where they're trying to scare you. Headline, Summer Concern. Infectious beach germs could be hiding in the sand. Oh, God. Now, I can tell you, well, first off, where I grew up, on Sanibel and Captiva Islands, let's say you had a family member die, right? And they were cremated, and you wanted to take their ashes to Sanibel Island on the beach and spread the ashes. Well, you're not allowed. They have an ordinance against that. And I've always wondered about that because it's a beach on the Gulf of Mexico. There's shells and so on. There's death all over the place, not just the shells. There's dead creatures all over the damn place. Everywhere. You're walking up and down a beach filled with death. All sorts of dead things washing up on shore, and most of it you don't even know about. And yet people love to get out there and put their toes in the sand. Well, I did my entire life, and I never got sick. Okay, let's read the story. Sharks aren't the only threat to your safety at the beach. Oh, God, here you go. All right, so there's a smorgasbord of infectious organisms that you can encounter in the sand and water. Okay, so now you can't even go in the water anymore. Oh, God. As summer kicks off and countless people are heading to the beach to relax, let's look at the many germs beachgoers should try to stay on guard for. Okay, so now you are going to go to the beach to sit out your lawn chair or lay on a blanket and relax. But before you do that, let's take a look at all the death and germs because you're going to get sick and die. And they name a bacteria. I cannot pronounce this bacteria. They're resilient to many antibiotics. Oh, okay, so if you step on this and get it, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it because it's resistant to antibiotics, making them dangerous and even life-threatening. We are familiar, it says, with the substantial risk in hospitals, nursing homes, jails, and other environments where people are close together and particularly vulnerable to infections. However, several studies conducted in recent years have also revealed that this disease is in the sands and waters in lakes and marine environments. Okay. So lakes, too. So for those of you who want to go enjoy a nice lake here in Wyoming or surrounding areas, well, dear God, don't you dare, because, you're dead. E. coli, many strains of E. coli are harmless. Some are even helpful, even in our guts. Some, however, can cause gastrointestinal injury or urinary tract infections. So don't go swimming. Hookworms. Many different species of parasitic hookworms that infect human beings. So there you go. And let me see. Oh, and there's something about your poor dog. Oh, that your hookworms get into your dog. Don't take your dog to the beach. There are facilities surrounding the beach that can harm or dangerous organisms. Oh, so don't even go around the beach now. Yeah, it's bad enough that you are at the beach, but there's harmful organisms around the beach. Then there's a parasite, quite common, and has a remarkable ability to survive in unfavorable environments, and that can cause diarrhea. And they inhabit a lot of freshwater lakes. Let's see, what's this one pronounced? Again, I can't pronounce most of these names here, so I'm not even going to try. But, dear Lord, the things, all right. Are you allowed to do anything anymore that's fun? Can you honestly? No matter where you want to try to go, they're going to find something out there to panic you by. And you're supposed to think about all of this when you go to the beach. Did you bring sunscreen? Probably not, because that's going to kill you too, right? Oh, and did you bother, I'm sure that they did this too, did you bother to cook something on the beach? Did you bring your kids? Are you pregnant and you went to the beach? Oh my God. Dear Lord only knows what's in that water out there, and you wanted to go swimming. No matter what you do. Let me see. I got past the hookworms. There's your dog here. This just goes on and on. Facilities surrounding the beach. Oh, here's more parasites, quite common, have the ability to survive. Oh, that's the diarrhea parasite. Sorry, I passed that one by. And let me see. This is another one I can't pronounce. And this is another type of roundworm usually found in soil, but also on the beaches, or in the water as well. Most common soil-transmitted parasite to humans, and it infects billions of people worldwide. Let me see. Norovirus causes about half of foodborne infections annually, so don't go cooking on the beach. With projectile vomiting and watery diarrhea. I'm sorry, were you eating breakfast? I'm sorry. Quite contagious anyway. Let me see. This one is called Vibrio. Many different species of this bacteria live in marine waters, only some of which can make humans sick, but guarantee you're going to get it. Oh, I think it says here, so how can you stay safe at the beach? Well, obviously you don't. Well, wear your pool or water shoes. Try to keep your mouth closed underwater. Don't swallow any water. Oh, and by the way, to little Junior over there, quit eating the sand.
In life, you have choices. They're healthy and not. And sometimes it's tricky to choose what you ought. So if you are wondering what makes you ill, it's easy to know because everything will. A is for alcohol, source of addiction, liver diseases, and other afflictions. So how about water? That might be okay. But if it's in plastic, there's B. BPA. C is for corn syrup, soda pop uses, and also for carbs found in sugary juices. D, dehydration. You still have to drink, though all these beverages seem like they stink. Eating too little or too much to count. E is for eating imperfect amounts. And eating some things that you shouldn't consume, cause dozens of dishes will lead to your doom. F is for fried food that's filled up with fat. Gluten for G. If you buy into that. H is for hot dogs. Who knows how they're made? I for insecticide. Veggies are sprayed. J is for jerky with way too much salt. And K is for kale. It's also at fault.
But isn't it healthy?
I'm glad that you ask. Cabbage and kale make thyroids too fast.
Forget about eating. I'll just go outside.
But that is for even more dangers can hide. L is for Lyme disease, carried by ticks. Malaria, M, that mosquitoes inflict. N diethyl toluamide. It kills all the bugs, and it kills your insides. O is for oxygenless recreation. P for pollution in each inhalation. Q is for quicksilver. Fishing is wrecked. R, deadly radon. That's hard to detect. S is for sunscreen, but also the sun. Both give you cancer. Now, isn't that fun? T for tobacco. UV for UV. W, watching way too much TV. X, as expected, is X-ray. Y is surprisingly yerba mate. Z is for zealotry. Any insistence that you found the key to eternal existence. You can't avoid danger. Just go on and try. No matter your actions, you're still gonna die.
You asked for an expert. We didn't have the budget for that. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Weekdays 6 to 10 a.m. and 24/7 on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
7:23 is the time. Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Okay. Hello, Chet and Yoder. Steve is in Casper. Jan and Cheyenne. I'll get to your message. I do like some of the comments that I'm getting now on the story that I just read about how everything's going to kill you. Now you can't even go to the beach because that's going to kill you too. Now, Steve in Casper just sent me I like this. So somebody started a chat, and it's a group chat online. Hey, I'm going to have a barbecue at my house this weekend, and who wants to come? And everybody's, yay, barbecue, we're going to come to the barbecue. Thank you. Is anyone here a vegan? And one person, yes, I'm a vegan, glad you asked. Remove from group. Now, I did see it. I don't remember if I kept it or not, but I played it on the air a while ago. It's a little skit somebody did. They put it up on YouTube. So this guy goes to a barbecue, but it's a vegan barbecue. Not sure how that works, but it's a vegan barbecue. And when he gets there, he turns to the host and says, so, as you know, I'm a carnivore. Yeah, well, I'm glad you came to my vegan barbecue. No, you don't understand. See, I had a barbecue where I served nothing but meat, and I invited you, and you showed up, and I made sure that I had provided food for you. I went out of my way to make sure you had nothing but vegan food at my barbecue. And so here I am at your barbecue. I accommodated you. So now I'm at your vegan barbecue. I expect you to accommodate me. So I assume you set some meat aside for me. Well, we don't do that. Why? I did that for you. I mean, I think that's really rude. I went out of my way to accommodate you. You can accommodate me. I thought that was just great. All right. So I was talking about how the news media, and this is another study, talks about going to the beach and all of the dangers about going to the beach because what's in the sand, what's in the water. Oh, dear Lord, you're in such danger because you went to the beach. You're in danger because you walked outside. You're in danger when you're inside. No matter what you're doing, there's something out there that's dangerous to you. And the news media loves to harp on this. Now, Chet and Yoder sends me a note, hypochondriacs. Well, yeah, but you see now, isn't it the news media that wants to make a bunch of hypochondriacs out of us? Oh, they really enjoyed the whole so-called pandemic that we went through a while ago. They love that. Oh, my Lord. Let's go ahead and make a bunch of hypochondriacs out of everybody. And there's still people who are walking around wearing masks and so on. And I think that there's a lot of people, both in government and in the media, that are disappointed that they didn't make hypochondriacs out of us all. But again, a story that says, go ahead, go to the beach, enjoy yourself, the odds of something bad happening to you are really low. You're going to have a great time. Not many stories like that are written. You know, I could go ahead and I wrote up a story this morning. If you want to go visit the Tetons, you got to plan ahead for a place to stay, and here's a bunch of things you can do that are not always filled with tourists, that are a lot of fun. Now, if I wanted to be like the rest of the news media, I could have listed all of the things that are going to kill you in the Tetons. In fact, I ought to do that. I think I might have a while back. I'll have to go check. All of the things that can kill you in Wyoming. You know, why the hell not? Yeah. But the odds, here's the difference. You're not going to get mugged in Wyoming. Odds are really low that you're going to get mugged in Wyoming. But you still might get eaten by a wild animal, especially if you're an idiot. So I just tossing that out there. But yeah, there are people who really want, in the news media and in government especially, want to really keep you on the edge about every little thing. And they will find ways. They even got you, a lot of people convinced that CO2, which gives life to this planet, is a pollutant. Yeah, but they got us convinced of everything, don't they? If you watch the news, it's one hypochondriac thing, as Chet's saying, after the next. All right, let me see. I'm catching up on the notes. Oh, DJ in Gillette, Milo in Fort Danger. There's Robert in Cheyenne. He says, good morning. Good morning, Robert. And then Jim. Come on down, Casper. We've got a big old coal mining consuming CO2 spilling badass power plant. Really? Let's see. DJ says, employees who work a official holiday, thanks to them, usually get double pay that day. Yeah. I was talking about all of the people who worked. Most of us had yesterday off, but there's a lot of people who were working, and I was thanking them for that. So glad DJ chimed in on that. All right, coming up on 7:30, local news coming your way. After local news, update on your weather forecast. Oh, and then you're going to love this. The website Everyday Feminism. Yes, it's every bit as bad as it sounds. Oh, they got advice for you if you're pregnant. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because apparently you need to support midwives in the age of Donald Trump. I know, what the hell. We'll talk about that after local news update on the weather forecast. Wake up, Wyoming.
Wake up, Wyoming, with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Got something to say? Chat him on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app or call 888-97-WOODS.
7:36 the time. Wake up, Wyoming. Tuesday, not a Monday. I know that's thrown a lot of you guys. That's all right. I'll keep you posted. As Tuesday goes along, I'll keep reminding you that it's actually a Tuesday, not a Monday. Although this Tuesday will act like a Monday because it has a deal going with Monday. To act like a Monday, just so you know. All right. You're going to love this. I mean, you Trump supporters out there, oh, you're going to love this. Oh, first we got to play the anthem. Trump. Okay, there you go. There's a website which I monitor. There's several websites I go to from time to time. I just monitor what they're doing. This one's called Everyday Feminism. And I do go there every single day just to take a look at what they're doing. And, oh, my Lord. Talk about a group of people just hypersensitive about every little thing. Oh, my Lord. Some of the articles they come up with are just hysterical. This one is titled, for you pregnant women out there, 7 Reasons to Support Midwives in the Age of Trump. So, let's just dive right in. This is going to be great. We're in the time when our goodness as humanity is being questioned. Borders are militarized and becoming stronger. Refugees are denied access to needed resources, and hate crimes are on the rise. This is how they see the world. In this country, we are unquestionably seeing the results of generations of trauma and segregation. Again, This is how they see the world. And it wasn't that way until the liberals started messing up what we had worked on for many years to solve. But all right. For about 100 years, humans have routinely birthed babies in hospitals. During this time, medical community as an oppressive institution. So for you doctors out there in hospitals and so on, the medical industry was an oppressive institution. Has been interfering with many of the physiological birth processes performed and separating their babies from parents and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, fortunately, midwifery offers a needed contradiction. Now, I am in favor of midwives. I do. Look, if you're a kid, you want to go to the hospital, go. I don't think a pregnancy and birth should be treated as a medical emergency. Home birth is a contradiction to oppression. In today's world, it forces capitalism, racism, and sexism, and classism to work to isolate us. So capitalism works to isolate us and is lumped in with racism and sexism? Okay. Oppressive functions by disconnecting us from our bodies and each other in the natural world, I see. Hey, most midwives that I've met are capitalists who are doing independent business, but okay. Home birth offers an opportunity to experience birth outside the institutions of society. Well, in fact, I know people who like to home birth because it gets them away from government. But all right. I'm your anti-government guy. 2, the way we're born affects the rest of our lives. There is substantial evidence that the way we're born does affect us mentally, physically, and emotionally. Then I would like to know, how are the people who work everyday feminism, how are they born? Because, dear Lord, they got issues. Let's see. Isolation is the main foundation of oppressism. The way the institution of medicine manages birth in this country can reflect being isolated from our children, and this matters now more than ever because totalitarianism itself is a result of isolation. What does this have to do with giving birth? Because being born is the most fundamental experience that we all have in common. Really? I didn't know that. Gosh, we all have being born in common? You and I are connected. We're all connected. All the listeners out there. Hey, everybody, listen up. We've all been born. We have that in common. Gosh, I didn't know that. Rates of morbidity and mortality in the U.S. are distressing. Well, they're down quite a bit, but okay. Although we are the wealthiest country in the world, we are not in general taking good care of pregnant populations. And it's in clear research, and of course, people of color's experience that racism and white supremacy play a major role. Okay, so when it comes to being pregnant and giving birth, racism and white supremacy play a major role in that. Let's see. It's not what hospitals are inherently. Western obstetrics, arose from a violent history, and then it tries to make the case for that. The lack of humanity that was in history of modern obstetrics, I cannot say that word today, continues in hospitals today and is connected to the thread guided in our current policies and movements. Number 6, the statistical difference between hospital birth and home birth are striking. And then it talks about some things that I would actually agree with, that I know quite a few people have done the home birth thing, and it was a much better experience. But okay, home birth offers an opportunity for liberation and healing. We need to break the bars that keep us isolated from one another and cultivate trust and intimacy. But that's exactly what everyday feminism works to break down. So I don't know why in the world we need to cultivate this. But you at Everyday Feminism work to break that down. Okay. And I didn't see in there what any of that had to do with Trump. Home birthing in the age of Trump. What did that have to do with Trump? 742 Wake Up.
Live and local all across Wyoming. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Join in at 888-97-WOODS or the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app.
7:45 is the time. Don Day's with us from Day Weather. Okay, Don, we literally got everything this weekend. If you want to know what year-round weather is like in Wyoming, this past weekend was it.
Memorial Day weekend, just like the one we had.
Okay. I mean, well, and it depends, I guess, where you are, because I know some of the high country got some snow up there.
Yeah, especially on Saturday. Overnight Friday and the Saturday evening, I got lots of snapshots from folks at campsites, their cabins with an inch or two of snow, and that was really true over most of Wyoming's mountains.
Yeah. So I even had to drive south on Saturday, and was it Sunday, one of those 2 days. And boy, the wind out there, for those who like Wyoming wind, it really saved me a lot on gas mileage. So we even got a little bit of that. All right, now, we start to fade into a summer pattern, but, I mean, I notice it's still a little seesaw there. I mean, it's back and forth.
Yeah, the seesaw, though, is not as extreme, and we're definitely transitioning our way into an early summer pattern. You know, to bring up a radio analogy, we're fading. We're slowly, it's a slow slide. You're fading the music slowly.
Yeah.
Spring music is slowly fading, then you start to fade into summer music. That's kind of where we're going to be over the next 7 to 10 days, but we're getting there. We have another front that'll come in late tomorrow and Thursday. It'll make Thursday a little cooler. Tomorrow we're going to have an active day of thunderstorms, especially in the eastern counties of the state. But by the time we get into Friday and the weekend, Glenn, we're going to warm back up again, and really it's going to the weekend coming up was the weekend we wanted last weekend.
Oh, okay. It was the weekend we wanted last week. I'm trying to sort that out. Okay, but still, I do notice that, all right, let's say tomorrow's a bit warmer. I wear a lighter shirt, but maybe Thursday I might want to bring a sweater. I mean, so that temperature bobs up and down, too.
It is, but the bobs aren't going to be as extreme.
Okay, all right. So slowly we're working our way into summertime, huh?
We really are.
All right, thank you, Don. Don Day with Day Weather. Okay, we had some communication hookup problems there, so I had to go ahead and get him on the phone this morning. Off we go to the icebox where Frank Gambino is waiting by. All right, Frank, you like Oreos? Hang on a second, Frank.
I love it.
You love Oreos. Okay. Yes. This guy decided to go out and purchase every single Oreo product that is out there, because people love Oreos so much. So, for example...
What, is he trying to have a secondary market?
Oh, my God. Okay, so you know people who like to buy, like, a coffee drink in a can?
Yeah.
It's like iced coffee?
Yeah.
Oreo iced coffee.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll try it for free. I won't pay for it.
Now, you can go ahead and get Oreo, the thin cookies that have have you seen those? They're very, very little bit of...
Oh, yeah. Or the double.
The double stuff, or better yet, the most stuff, which is more than double stuff.
Really? Do you have that?
Yeah, really. Oreo Cakesters, and this has a peanut butter flavored cream. So there's different creamy flavors in the middle. Okay. This is an Oreo brownie. It's a brownie with that same stuff in the middle. Oreo Minis, which are tiny little Oreo cookies. Okay. I'm not in favor of this one. Oreo Sour Patch. The cream filling is sour.
Oreo?
Yeah.
No, that's not even remotely right.
Just disgusting.
No.
Okay, so when you go ahead and take a look at the area where you tend to find, Reese's cups and the candy bars, stuff like that, you'll find Oreo candy bars there. But also, you can go to the freezer section, and you can go ahead and get Oreo. It's got ice cream in the middle.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, okay. So, the top and bottom are like the chocolate cookie, but then in the middle, that's like an ice cream thing.
Now we're talking.
Okay. Then and I love this, there's the Oreo pack where you can buy like a single pack with the thin stuff or the double stuff, whatever you want. But that's like one pack instead of buying a whole box. Now, did you want the traditional Oreo cookies, or did you want what they call the golden, which is like a mint cookie instead?
Well, I'll take the mint, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and then there's also, I love the mint ones. Here's another one where it's not mint. The cookie is vanilla.
Oh, the cookie is?
Yes. Okay, so would you like to have an Oreo cookie that has the chocolate on the outside but mint cream in the middle?
I've seen those for Christmas.
Yes, I love those around Christmas time. I'm still taking a look at I think it would be too sweet for me. The coffee drink. They're saying it's like dunking an Oreo cookie in your coffee.
No.
And I'm thinking,
if you want to dump, an Oreo cookie in your coffee, do it yourself.
Yeah, go ahead and buy that, and then okay. I'm looking at the. I think one of my favorite ones, because I did try one a while ago. I'm looking at the Oreo cookie that is in the ice cream section. I mean, to me, you got the same cookie thing, but the vanilla ice cream in the middle. I'm going for that.
That gets the universal approval. American Legion baseball from over the weekend in Wyoming. The Laramie A Rangers over the Casper Wildcatters 10-2 and 7-5. Cheyenne Post 6 beat North Platte, Nebraska 6-0, and the Los Bandidos team out of Denver defeated the Cheyenne Eagles 10-7 and 8-6. That was on Saturday. Then on Sunday, the Cheyenne Sixers beat North Platte 15-8 in the first game of a doubleheader. Then lost to Nightcap 8-7. Douglas over the Cheyenne Eagles 11-4 and 2-1. The Casper Drillers beat Bozeman, Montana 4-2, and then also beat the Sheridan Jets 10-5. Then yesterday was the Double-A Rangers from Laramie, splitting a doubleheader with the Casper Oilers. The Rangers won the first game 2-0, and the Oilers came back to win the Nightcap 6-1. Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies beat Cleveland yesterday 8-6 down in Denver, so they're 19-34 on the year. The Rockies actually played not too bad. They took 2 out of 3 from Philadelphia, and Philadelphia leads the NL East. In the game yesterday, the Rockies scored 6 runs in the 4th inning. Charlie Blackmon with a home run. He also drove in 4, and that loss ended Cleveland's 9-game winning streak. In the NBA playoffs, Boston makes it to the NBA Finals for the second time in 3 years. They defeated Indiana 105-102 and won that series in 4 straight games. That was the Eastern Conference Finals. So the Western Conference Finals has Dallas and Minnesota tonight, and Dallas leads that series 3-0. In the Stanley Cup playoffs in hockey, Dallas beat Edmonton 5-3 yesterday, so the Stars lead that series 2-1, and tonight in the Western Conference Finals and in the Eastern Conference Finals, the New York Rangers leading the Florida Panthers 2-1 with Game 4 tonight. That's it in sports.
Miss Mary just sent me a video which I have to go and take a look at. It's the CEO of the Oreo cookie company saying, can we stop making new Oreo products now, because I think we've pretty much covered everything. And my answer is no, keep experimenting.
Well, what are they going to put out next? Gum?
Hey.
Oreo gum?
Oreo cookie gum.
Why
not?
Well, what else can we do here?
Okay, there is s'mores Oreo in the summertime, says Rob in Cheyenne, with cracker cookie on the outside and marshmallow cream in the center. I've never heard about that.
Excellent.
Okay. See, I'm for experimenting there. I want more Oreo stuff. I'm fine. I'm even okay with those companies that are ripping off Oreos and making their own version.
Oh, I know. There's a bunch of those knockoffs, too. And they're not as good.
No, they're not as good, but they're not bad. I'll still eat them.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Frank. Coming up on some local business we're going to roll into. Corey from Nebraska, hello. We're rolling into, local news, national news, update on the weather forecast. Open phones, too. Wake up, Wyoming. Time is 8:06. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Tuesday, which is masquerading as a Monday. But don't worry, you only have a 4-day work week, so you ought to be able to roll through this pretty easy.
Today's show is sponsored by Rabid Penguin Spray, the only spray guaranteed to keep dangerous rabid penguins at bay.
I only know of one penguin in the state of Wyoming. If you go to Cheyenne, Wyoming, to the Little America, when you walk through their front door, go ahead and look to the left. It's an emperor penguin, and those suckers are pretty big. You'd be surprised how big those suckers are. Okay, we're reaching the open phone segment. So, most dangerous time of this program every single day.
Warning. Wake Up Wyoming is about to enter daily open phones. This means that anyone will be allowed to call in and talk about anything. I mean, imagine if we actually allowed you on air to say anything you wanted. Scary, right? Well, we're just that brand of crazy. If you are offended by what other people think, then maybe you want to tune out right about now. Just saying. If you should choose to call, just remember, the more funny and interesting you are, the longer Glenn will keep you on the line. Obnoxious jerks will be hung up on. Dave, all right, strap in, and let's do this thing.
888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Talking about what I'm talking about. Change the subject, fine by me. I have covered a lot this morning. And don't worry, if you're one of those who tunes in a little bit later and you missed it, you didn't. This is the modern age of the cell phone and other mobile devices and so on. So what you do is you download the Wake Up Wyoming app, and this show becomes a podcast. Now, it's a 4-hour radio show, but that it means we include news, sports, weather, and all sorts of other morning drive things that include agricultural updates, road conditions, all of that's carved out. And we just get to the meat of the program. So it's really condensed for you. And that's free. Go to Wake Up Wyoming app, find On Demand on the toolbar. It's on the left-hand side. Touch it. Touch Wake Up Wyoming, select your episode. You're good. We don't charge you for it. So you can go ahead and listen and catch up on your schedule. All right. So you can interrupt me, but here's the story for those ranchers out there. This is for you. The obsolete, irrelevant news media is once again ignoring the story which completely destroys the cult of climate change regarding your industry.
So put on your respirator and let's fix that generator. And while we're out, we'll mend our fences too. See, I'm not afraid of dying, just got reasons for surviving. I want one more day in the apocalypse with you.
But hold on, because people are allowed to interrupt me during open phones. Bonnie is in Cheyenne. Morning, Bonnie.
Good morning, Glenn. Question for you. I didn't get to hear the program the other day, but someone did, and I'm trying to find out where the information came from that Cody Roberts was a rancher.
I don't know. I have no idea. I'd have to go back and see what story I was talking about to see.
It was on, maybe Friday or Thursday. But
okay.
I just wanted to see where that may be printed, if anybody knows.
Okay. Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know. You might want to try Cowboy State Daily, for example. That might be one of them. Or our own Wake Up Wyoming site and see if you can find it in there. And I'll see if later on I can dig. So he's not a rancher, or what's the issue?
Well, because there's quite a bit of bad publicity with this. And ranching doesn't need any more bad publicity. And I don't think that he's a rancher. It's like saying Fred Eshelman is a rancher.
Right. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. And I think she's talking about the gentleman and the wolf issue that we've had here in the state of Wyoming. All right. Let me get back to this. This is for, speaking of ranchers, this is for the ranchers out there. So you're told that you got to get rid of your cattle. In fact, a couple of European countries wanted to try to cull all of, if not most of their cattle to fight climate change. Because it's not just, it comes out of both ends, but most of the methane comes out of the mouth. And that's supposed to be bad for the climate, you are told. That's why you got to stop eating meat and you got to start eating bugs or something like that, because cattle leads to climate change. All right, here's the story. Food production in China is soaring, helped by slightly warmer temperatures and higher levels of carbon dioxide, CO2. While cows grazing in wetland pastures actually reduce emissions of what they call greenhouse gas, methane, partly by gobbling up decomposing methane-emitting plants. Oh, wow. Well, they didn't think about that. Plants emit methane, too? There is a swampy area. I can go talk about the Everglades, which I grew up near. But if you go up north of Florida, north of Jacksonville, Florida, right, just up in between Florida and Georgia, like that country group Florida-Georgia line, right in between. But it's on the east side of the state. There is a huge area between Florida and Georgia called the Okefenokee Swamp. That swamp area produces a lot of natural methane that just bubbles up and is coming from the plant life there. So I guess we have to destroy the Okefenokee Swamp in order to save the planet, right? But if they allow cows in there gobbling up decomposing methane-emitting plants, and just a couple of stories based on recent scientific research that readers have missed in their net zero promoting obsolete news media. Alas, environmental correspondents do not cover what they should consider from their point of view uplifting scientific material. See, a recently published paper by UCLA science researcher discovered that the main factor affecting China's crop yields was local air temperature. It's warmer. When it's warmer, things grow better, like a greenhouse. When the air temperature in China is higher, the yield is better of crops. Cold kills. Also, according to research, there's a lot of CO2 in the air, and that's because they have a lot of power plants, coal power plants, which is emitting more CO2, and that's greening the earth. The above, and there's a graph here that shows all of this that I'm looking at. So, okay. China is belching out loads of CO2. Now, the area is not warmer because of the CO2, but the CO2 is helping the plants grow. All right. So, okay, then we got, let's see, evidence of the greening of the earth. The article goes on to talk about the greening of the earth because of CO2, and that was a NASA study that showed the greening of the earth. Oh, and here's a picture, I was about to say Prince, he's King Charles, who's looking at a face mask for a cow, that's supposed to help capture methane emissions to help save the planet. Chet and Yoder. Everyone with 20 acres says they have a ranch, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if he is or isn't or what he claims to be, but all right. So back to you ranchers out here in the state of Wyoming. Even when they find good news, and you know the good news, you know as a rancher that cattle actually do a lot of good. As they continue to chomp along on the grass, that's good. As they drop huge turds all over the place, that's good. That's fertilizer. As they feed our population a healthy food, that's good. There's so many things that cattle do that's good for the planet. And even when they go along chomping up methane-emitting plants and killing them so there's less methane, news media can't cover this. When we show that CO2 is greening the earth, news media can't cover that because it's counter to their narrative.
Rant alert to everyone telling me to go drink bleach. I'm not thirsty.
And we're back. Sorry, we were busy tricking pescatarians into eating Rocky Mountain oysters. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
8:20 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Open phones. 888-97 Woods the phone number. It's 888-97-WOODS. I'm looking at the next story, and there's a ad. I don't know why this is in front of me. Usually when you get an ad, they know who you are because of the way you surf things on the internet. And so the ads will reflect what you look at, usually. I mean, sometimes you get the odd thing that, why would they send me that? Well, this is a T-shirt that has a dad joke written on it. It reads, I keep all my dad jokes in a database. Okay, I know a couple of people I might need to get that for. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, your favorite song.
Well, I like guns. I like the way they look. I like the shiny steel and the polished wood. I don't care if they're big or small. If they're for sale, well, hell, I want them all. I like guns. I like guns. I I like guns.
First story comes from Chicago, where through the weekend, from Friday until Monday, 31 people were shot. This is in, Chicago, that has had for quite a long time some of the strictest gun laws in the country. 31 people were shot, 5 of them fatally, through Sunday morning, Memorial Day weekend, into Monday. All right. So I don't know what the final count's going to be. NBC Chicago reported a third fatal shooting occurred around 1 a.m. It goes through all the details of the different shootings here. So I'm not going to get into this other than there's all sorts of rules and regulations, including different kinds of guns. And they do have something coming up that they call, a ban on assault weapons, or regulations on what they call assault weapons, even though most of the people shot were not shot with anything like that. But they're still going after it, boy, because that's going to help a whole lot, isn't it? Now, another story. Let's go up to Montana. Montana leads state pushback against Mexico's bid to hold U.S. firms liable for gun violence. Well, all right. Gun manufacturers in the United States is where a lot of Mexicans down there in Mexico get their guns from. So obviously the gun manufacturers are liable, right? Okay, every time a crime occurs in the United States because of somebody that Mexico allowed over the border into the United States, we're going to hold them liable. Does that work for you? Works for me. All right, reading on. Montana Attorney General is leading a coalition of states defending American firearms makers from being held responsible for Mexican gun violence. The government of Mexico says gun companies should be responsible for gun violence because manufacturers know some of their products are trafficked into Mexico. In January, the First Circuit Court of Appeals ruled Mexico could sue U.S. companies over this issue. But the coalition wants the United States Supreme Court to reverse the decision according to, and it talks about who in the lawsuit. This is a quote, rather than take responsibility, Mexico's anti-gun activists are trying to blame American companies and bankrupt them. The appeals court erred on the side of a decision the Supreme Court, they say, needs to reject and fix it, basically. In its brief, the story says, U.S. Supreme Court coalition wrote that Mexico has flung its border open and sought to extort money from the United States. Now, again, I'm okay with this. No, I am perfectly okay with this. If Mexico wants to do this, then I say we should be able to sue Mexico for all the harm that they're doing to us. I mean, not just all of the illegals that are pouring over our border, but let's take a look at all of the gangs and gang violence that they're not even trying to stop. And all of the drugs that pour across the border, and they're not even trying to stop the drugs pouring across our border. So we can talk about a lot of violence and drugs and on it goes. And I don't see anywhere where Mexico is trying to stop anything. So if you want to go this route, Mexico, bring it on. Quote, Mexico should not be permitted to exert de facto gun control over American citizens. Because this is part of what Montana is trying to say. Let me see, who has joined this? In addition, oh good, we're in there. No, I was looking at the story as Montana's doing it. Montana's leading the way. Wyoming is involved in this lawsuit. In addition, attorneys general from Alabama. Oh, God, do this again. Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. I almost didn't make it. That's the second time this morning I had to read all of the states off, and I almost didn't make it both times. But I did. I made it. Those are all of the states that are involved in this. I'll look more into it. Yeah, okay. So, we do have gun manufacturers here in the United States. In Wyoming, we have gun manufacturers, and it would affect them as well. But also, when it comes to, the attorneys general in this, a lot of times, a state like Wyoming, for example, Montana leads the charge on the case, and what Wyoming does is it just joins essentially as a friend of Montana. Becky from Cheyenne, recent to good drug overdose. Yeah. Scotty, Fort Danger. Last week I washed the car with my boy. He complained that I should have used a sponge instead. I'm going to have to find out what you're talking about, Scotty. I kind of came in the middle of that one. Let's see if Scotty... These are people who are texting me over the Wake Up Wyoming app. Let's see. No, all he says is, last week I washed my car with my boy. He complained I should have used a sponge instead. Now, you got to tell me, Scotty, is that in relation to anything? Because I have no idea what you're talking about, although that's really entertaining. Okay, so I'll dig into a little bit more to find. I think Wyoming and all the other states in this case, with the suing or going after Mexico and trying to reverse this ruling, I think we're just sort of friends with Montana, and all the other states are joining together as a show. I doubt our Attorney General is actually going to show up at a Supreme Court hearing for this, other than to allow the Supreme Court to know that we support what Montana is doing in the case. But I'll let you know. All right. Coming up on some local business that we have to take care of, we're going to roll into news time. After news time, update on the weather forecast. Then you and I get back into it again for a nice long segment of open phones. You can do what a lot of these people are doing. Text me on the Wake Up Wyoming app, and I read those on air, and most of the time type back to everybody. Or you can go ahead and call the show and interrupt me if you want on any topic. 888-97-WOODS, 888-97-WOODS, Wake Up Wyoming.
No, God, please, no!
Oh, yeah!
It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio. Join the show at 888-97-WOODS.
8:36 the time. Wake Up Wyoming. All right, 888-97-WOODS, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. So I just mentioned a gun lawsuit that the state of Wyoming is helping Montana with a whole bunch of other states against Mexico. Because Mexico wants to sue gun manufacturers, American gun manufacturers, for the guns that are used in their country. And my answer is, if you want to do that, I'm okay with it, but we get to sue Mexico for sending us illegals and drugs and all sorts of other things, and all sorts of gang violence. We get to sue them over that. I think turnabout's fair play. Now, there's another lawsuit I'd mentioned. For those who are with me in the 6 o'clock hour, I want to go through this briefly again. Wyoming is, among other states, suing California over basically what are energy bullying tactics. 19 Republican attorneys general are taking legal action against 5 Democrat-led states. They filed a bill of complaint with the U.S. Supreme Court. Their suit claimed that these Democrat states are trying to dictate interstate energy policy for everybody. So in other words, we can go ahead and not just make things legal and illegal in California regarding energy, but we can dictate to the rest of the country what their energy policy needs to be, which is something that needs to be done by Congress, not by individual states. Okay, so they asserted that 5 Democrat-led state governments have, quote, brought unprecedented litigation against the nation's most vital energy companies for an alleged climate crisis. They're demanding payment of billions of dollars from these states. They claim that California, among other states, are using coercion and penalties that are harmful to traditional energy industries. Okay, here I go again. Get a good breath of air. The states in the suit are Alabama, Alaska, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Kansas, Iowa, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming. I did much better. The last list was longer than that one, so it's easier to do. Okay. These states are suing California, Connecticut, Minnesota, New Jersey, and Rhode Island. Quote, the theory advanced by these states is truly radical. A small gas station in a rural Alabama town could owe money to the people of Minnesota simply for selling a gallon of gas, according to the Attorney General from Alabama. The customer might even be liable, too. For what? Well, climate change, of course. The customer might be liable. These states are welcome to enforce their preferred policy in their state, in their jurisdiction, but not over the rest of the country. And what these Democrat states are trying to do is, well, your energy policy in Wyoming is hurting California. Therefore, and they want to punish, right? The Democrat-led states want carbon tax on the traditional energy industry. Climate fears of climate catastrophes, seeking massive penalties. They want relief against the producers of out-of-state, basically, coal power plants, natural gas, oil, et cetera, et cetera. If defendant states are right about the substance and reach of state law, their actions will imperil access to affordable energy everywhere else. So again, as California passes policies to raise the price of California gasoline and make it difficult, if not impossible, to buy an internal combustion engine automobile by a certain date on the calendar, why should that affect any other state anywhere in the country? Here's a quote. Consistently held that laws... the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of things like this. The Supreme Court has consistently held that lawsuits over air and water pollution, including emissions from the use of oil and gas, must be decided under federal law. Application of federal law of these fundamentally interstate matters prevent overreach by states. So in other words, one state cannot dictate to the rest of the country what they have to do. That's what they're doing in this lawsuit. The Republican state argue that Democrat states have exceeded authority. They flout horizontal separation of powers, usurp federal authority over a federal issue, and violate the prohibition on environmental regulation embodied in the Commerce Clause. Plaintiff states and their citizens rely on traditional energy products every day. The assertion that defendant states, like California, can regulate, tax, and enjoin the, promotion of their cause and such products beyond their borders, no. That threatens the federal government, basically. The federal government should stand firm and say, I'm sorry, California, or in all these other states, you're not allowed to pass policy that affects these other states. Enforce them. If this is fine within the borders of California, but if Wyoming wants to do it different, we get to do it different. If Wyoming decides to turn back on every single coal power plant and start to run them all, we're going to turn them all on, we're going to run them all. That's our business. We can go ahead and do that. And states down the line can't say, well, they're hurting us. No. This is Wyoming. We get to do it Wyoming way. And that's one of the things about where America being a republic. We are a republic. We're not a direct democracy. And essentially, this is very basic. Imagine us as 50 separate countries in a giant cooperative. And we go to the federal level to take care of common business. And things like this are settled at the federal level, not at the state level. And one state, even though it's a big state, I mean, picture how big is California, population-wise, compared to the state of Wyoming. In fact, let me go ahead and I want to know because I know shrunk a little bit, but the population of California, okay, they have lost a little bit, but the population of California is 39.03 million. Now, that's of 2022, so they've lost a little bit still, but we'll say just about 39 million. As opposed to the population of Wyoming, which is 580-some, 500,000, 800, whatever. We're getting close to 6,000. I forget what our exact population is, but we're getting close to 600,000. So you see the difference between the two. Should California be able to dictate to Wyoming what we do? No, obviously not. All right, so that's what the lawsuit is all about. And we'll see where this goes. I'm glad that so many states have joined us in that lawsuit. So we'll see where we go with this. But it would be nice to put California and other states like that back in their box. Sorry, you can't dictate to us. You do whatever you want inside your borders. You're going to leave us alone.
4 simple steps to being an adult. Pay your bills. Because if you got it, you probably needed it. So if you don't pay it, you're going to lose it. So pay your bills. Only keep a few close friends. Most are after to get what they need out of you. And once they do, they're gone. Always wear deodorant. You don't want to be the stinky guy or stinky girl in the elevator. Don't smoke meth. You follow all these, you'll do just fine.
Hard work, hard work. That's what they say.
Sure, this show is sustainable. We sequester all gas emissions to one room. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, live on AM 1030 and FM 95.1, weekdays at 6.
8:48 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the icebox. Frank Gambino is waiting by. Frank, I just found the perfect game you play with your neighbors on the other side of the fence.
Volleyball.
Well, that's kind of like that. Have you ever played the game Battleship? You sunk my Battleship. Okay.
Yeah.
And so here are the two groups on either side. There's like two guys on one side and a man and wife on the other side of this fence. And they made sure that they can't see through the fence.
Okay.
They have a bunch of water balloons.
Oh.
And so what they do is they go and just pick a place to sit in the backyard so the neighbors can't see where they're sitting. Now, rule 1 is you got to stay put. Now, if you're going to throw a water balloon, if it's your turn, you can get up and sneak around and throw it from anywhere. But then you got to return to your seat.
Okay.
And these two sides start bombing each other, trying to figure out where the other guy is on the other side. Eventually, you hear somebody get hit.
Okay.
But, yeah, you just lob it. I think he's over here. And you lob your water balloon over, and you wait to see if you hit somebody or something. And I've noticed in watching the video of these two playing, whatever this game is, Battleship or whatever they're calling this thing. And when you hit the person on the other side because they start to complain.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, a splash sounds like a splash until the person starts to complain about being hit.
Does this game start with alcohol?
Usually I would say yes.
Was it invented by alcohol? People were under the influence of alcohol in their backyard to go play Battleship with water balloons. They're adults.
Oh, yes, they are adults. But you're right. If someone's sitting around in the backyard having beer, it'd be cool. Isn't that how most things like this start?
Well, no. I understand. I mean, I've had sometimes moments of, I call it alcoholic clarity.
Oh.
I have a beer, and like, that's it. That's it.
So I can start to use the line, Frank Gambino, in a moment of alcoholic clarity.
Found out the solution to the world's problems.
There you go.
One beer at a time.
Solving the world's problem one beer at a time. Yeah, okay. So, there's got to be other names to be alcoholic clarity that rednecks would use for that as well. Combine the word epiphany with beer.
Yes.
Or eureka with beer.
Yeah.
A beereka moment. There.
Eureka
moment. It's beer and eureka at the same time.
And it just magically appears. Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies beat the Cleveland Guardians yesterday in Denver 8-6. The Rockies are 19-34, and they just took 2 out of 3 from NL East leader Philadelphia. Now, in this game yesterday over Cleveland, they scored 6 runs in the 4th inning. Charlie Blackmon with a home run, he drove in 4, and that broke Cleveland's 9-game win streak. Those two teams play again today in Denver. American Legion Baseball from Saturday, the Laramie A Rangers over the Casper Wildcatters 10-2 and 7-5. The Cheyenne Post 6 beat North Platte, Nebraska 6-0. And the Cheyenne Eagles lost to the Los Benditos team out of Denver 10-7 and 8-6 in a doubleheader. Then moving over to Sunday, the Cheyenne Sixers split with North Platte. The Sixers won the first game 15-5 and North Platte won the second game 8-7. Douglas over the Cheyenne Eagles 11-2 and 2-1. The Casper Drillers beat Bozeman, Montana up in Sheridan 4-2 and also beat the Sheridan Jets 10-5. And then yesterday, the Double-A Laramie Ranger team split a doubleheader with the Casper Oilers. The Rangers won game 1 2-0 and the Oilers won game 2 6-1. In the NBA playoffs tonight, it'll be in the Western Conference. It'll be Dallas taking on Minnesota. Dallas leads the Western Conference Finals 3-0, and they will, the winner of that will face Boston in the NBA Finals as the Celtics beat Indiana 105-102 to win that series in 4 straight. This is the second time in 3 years that the Celtics have made the NBA Finals. And in the Stanley Cup Finals in hockey, the New York Rangers will take on Florida in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Rangers are leading 2-1. And last night, the Dallas Stars beat the Edmonton Oilers 5-3. And the Dallas Stars leading the Western Conference Finals 2-1. That's it in sports.
I keep seeing headlines, but I don't know anything about it. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I haven't read. Did he have a medical emergency on a plane or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. So it's really kind of interesting because, folks, Mike Tyson's going to box again.
Yeah.
Younger guy, but apparently Tyson had some kind of a medical problem, and it's all, I haven't read the article yet, and I really haven't read the article yet because, Frank, I don't care.
No,
but it just keeps popping
either,
up.
Really.
Yeah.
He's still with us, evidently. And he's probably...
Oh, yeah, he is, yeah. I wonder, did he have, like, a heart palpitation or something? I don't know.
You know what? They'll get healthy when millions of dollars are at stake.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure. Because much like Muhammad Ali, some of these boxers that reach that level never want to quit.
Right, and until they've got to have some internal things. Say, all right, enough is enough. No mas.
When you have to turn at the corner to your coach there, or your manager, and hand them your Walker or King, and adjust your Depends under your big baggy pants that you box in.
Yep.
You might be when the opposition might be able to knock your false teeth out of your face.
Yeah. Quit while you're ahead.
Yes, quit while you're ahead. Thank you, Frank. Let's Wake Up Wyoming. 9:06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. All right, we're in the open phone segment. 888-97-WOODS, 888-97-WOODS. Oh, and it's a Tuesday, not a Monday. I know there's some confusion out there. Okay, pardon me. I hit a button and nothing happened. That's why there was dead air. So, okay, resetting here. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. It's a Tuesday, not a Monday.
Today's show is sponsored by Rabid Penguin Spray, the only spray guaranteed to keep dangerous rabid penguins at bay.
So glad I was able to get that out there.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
Again, 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Okay, I'm not doing this as an official story. I see a headline, so I will research this. I'm just going to mention it and let you know that I'm going to look into it, then I'll go back. So there's a guy sitting in an electric vehicle with a meter, and it says EMF radiation test shows sitting in an electric car is like standing near a microwave oven. Okay, is that a bad thing or not? I don't know. I'll look into that. But here's what the electric car companies have to worry about when it comes to that. If rumors like that, true or not, doesn't matter, start to fly around, that can do a lot of damage to an industry, and the electric car industries are already in a lot of trouble. All right, now, totally different topic because I'm not going to pursue that. That's, again, I'm looking into that, and I have my doubts, but I'll look into it and get back to you on it. So as you know, I am what I call libertarian-ish. When you take a look at my philosophy, I am most in agreement with the Libertarian Party as far as their philosophy is concerned. But I maybe have voted Libertarian once in my life because every time the Libertarians come up with somebody to run president, Congress, whatever the case is, guy's just a nutball, whoever it might be. They're just nuts, which doesn't look good for libertarians. Their philosophy is really a simple one. Now, the reason I say I'm libertarian-ish, there are some things that libertarians believe that I look at and go, that takes it too far. Like, for example, libertarians would love to have totally open borders. It's your life. If you want to travel, you're a free person. You should be able to travel where you want. What they don't understand, though, is why we have border policies that actually makes sense. And you can see the result of an open border right now, because that's essentially what we have and the damage it does. And there's a few other things I disagree with on when it comes to libertarians. But overall, I like their philosophy of it's your life, it's your business. And other people's lives, that's not your business. They need to ignore you. You need to ignore them. Live your life as you see fit. They can live their lives as they see fit. You're not allowed to pass laws or do anything to try to force anybody to do something because you don't like what they're doing. All right. Now, again, don't take that to too far an extreme, but you get the idea. I mean, well, he's murdering somebody. It's not my business. No, not that far. We're not going that far. The smallest possible government. Big time into that when it comes to libertarianism. But again, the problem is when libertarians pick someone as their presidential candidate. Well, I've been wondering when it comes to the Constitution Party, when it comes to the Libertarian Party, who are they going to pick? Are they going to pick anybody? Are they running? If I wanted to vote third party, could I? Well, the Libertarians have picked their candidate. And this is a quote from a conservative headline. Get a load of the goober they just nominated as a presidential candidate. Oh, my God. And so here's a picture of the guy. He's wearing by the way, the conservative Republicans have the elephant. The Democrats have the donkey. Well, the libertarian, theirs is a porcupine. And the reason why is a porcupine will not bother you if you don't bother it. That's why the porcupine. Yeah. But, of course, he's wearing a face mask, and the porcupine is all, rainbow. But, no, if you're looking at that going, well, okay, but hang on. Because it really shouldn't matter what anyone else's sexuality is. It's not your business. That's more of what a libertarian would be. He wouldn't be for or against any such thing. It's not his business what somebody else is. All right. So here's some tweets, if you will. I keep saying tweets because for Twitter. Here's some of the things he put out. So I'm having a Thanksgiving of less than 10 people, and we will be inside. And when we eat, since masks have to come off, we will be spacing. It's impossible to be responsible, or it is, yeah. It's not impossible to be responsible. Limit the size. Wear your mask accordingly. And this is after we got past the whole COVID thing. Here's another one. Happy that kids with cancer can get the health care they need. I'm disappointed that a legislator decided to limit their therapies and care specifically for young people who are, well, and he starts talking about the trans and non-binary community, and he's really off base on that. But it's a whole other controversy I'm not going to get into at this point. But anyway, it seems Georgia is poised to become another state. Oh, God. Okay. Some of this stuff is just best way to export libertaries with open borders. Okay. Yeah, it just keeps getting worse. So, all right. The guy really is just an annoying nutball, which is why I can never vote libertarian. But this time, he's very far left-leaning. And my complaint with that is a libertarian should not be far left or right. I wouldn't want a far right-leaning libertarian. A libertarian lives their own life, and somebody else's life is none of their business. You see what I mean? They're not trying to meddle in other people's business. This guy is very left-leaning, which is not what the Libertarian Party should do. Now, let me go ahead and check real quick. Well, I'm always disappointed with him. I just can't vote. Now, let's see. Constitution Party presidential candidates. Let's see what they gave you. If they did this time around. Presidential candidates and party. Okay. Constitution Party candidates. Great. And let's see what Ballotpedia has to say. I don't think they've had their convention yet. The Constitution Party has, at times, brought up a candidate that wasn't that bad, but at times have brought up candidates that were just as nuts as the Libertarian Party. And I'm sorry I couldn't support them. So let me see. May 26, Chase Oliver won the Libertarian Party presidential convention. Again, nutball. And very left-leaning, which means he shouldn't be a Libertarian. He should be a Democrat. April 10th, Cornel West accepted the academic and media activist. Okay, so he's running. The No Labels Party announced it will end its 2024 presidential campaign. They don't have a candidate. The Green Party has, is it Green Party? Oh, no, Independent. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running as an independent. Okay. Dean Phillips. Jason Palmer. Who is he? I'm just taking a look at different Democrat and Republicans. Okay, so there's a Republican Party. All right. I don't see anything yet for the Constitution Party. If I find anything, I'll let you know. But so far, Chase Oliver, Joe Biden, and pardon me while I pause a little bit on you here, candidates say, nope, I don't see anything. At some point, I'm sure the Constitution Party will have something. Wait a second. Here it, I found it. Randall Terry, Constitution Party. Okay, Randall Terry, Constitution Party. That's the person that's running. I have no idea about him. I'll go ahead and take a look to see who Randall Terry is. And again, at times the Constitution Party has actually done a pretty good job picking some people. And at times they're just, completely nuts like the Libertarian Party. Okay, Steve and Laramie, I see you there. Will you hold on just a moment? I got to take care of some business, and then I'll get to the phones. Wake up.
Want to talk to Glenn? Call 888-97-WOODS or chat him on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:22 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Waiting patiently by is Steve and Laramie. Thanks for that, Steve. What you got?
Oh, boy, I got an echo here. Do you hear that?
I think I got rid of it for you. How's that?
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's much better. Yes.
Okay.
They like to use the Commerce Clause to authorize all these alphabet soup federal agencies and what they do to us.
Yeah.
Like what you were talking about with the environment and the states and all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, interestingly enough, the reason, if you look at the Commerce Clause, it would tell the feds they can do and control everything because there's interstate commerce involved.
Right.
So along comes the, if the original Constitution had been perfect, there'd be no need for the Bill of Rights. But a group of states thought the Constitution still gave the federal government way too much power, like King George.
Right.
So they came up with these amendments which changed the Constitution. They override everything that came before. And you got the 10th Amendment, which any second grader could understand, but 10 guys in black robes oftentimes can't. And it says, the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people.
Yeah.
So if it's not in the Constitution as a federal prerogative, then it is not a federal prerogative, period.
Right.
And amendments changed the Constitution, including the Commerce Clause, which came before. So the Commerce Clause does not limit the 10th Amendment. Now, you got these guys, these constitutional scholars and lawyers, when they go to the university, they don't, you ask them, most of them will tell you, oh, no, we never read the Constitution itself.
Yeah.
We just read ruling cases on the Constitution by these various courts.
Yeah.
The Constitution is the law of the land, and the Commerce Clause has been overridden by the 10th Amendment, which says the Constitution doesn't say it, the government can't do it. So the FDA, the FTC, the Highway Administration, all of these are illegal according to the Constitution, and they cannot, the federal government cannot tell us what we have to do to protect the environment. Sorry.
Yeah, they can't, right. And then, and you already know this part, but let's add to it. So now we have Congress, do exactly what you said, overriding the 10th and so on. And they write an outline, and they hand it to the bureaucracy. And they say to the bureaucracy, you write the rules to make this happen. Well, that's giving the bureaucracy lawmaking authority, which the bureaucrats are not supposed to have. Constitutionally, any bureaucracy that exists, which should be pretty much nothing, just a few, all they should be there to do is enforce the law, not to create it.
Absolutely. Laws are not to be created by, they have to be legislatures and signed by, the executive.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'll give you one more scary one, and I'll let you go. Some years ago, I was watching, this was a Republican of all people, and I forget if he was a senator. I think he was a senator. But he was explaining to Brett Baer on Fox News, there was something that he wanted the EPA to do. And so what he's going to do is sue the EPA to force them to write the rules and regulations. So we no longer even go through Congress. We go through the courts to tell the bureaucracy what to do.
Fantastic.
It sounds perfect, yeah. All right. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. So nice to talk to someone who understands how the Constitution works. But, yeah, we are in a total mess at this point. The case that he's talking about, Wyoming's involved in another case with several other conservative states, because there are those states out there, 5 liberal states, California is one of them, that are trying to write law that will affect other states when it comes to energy, coal, gas, oil, and so on. And they're not allowed to do that. California, for example, as big as California is compared to Wyoming, California is not allowed to rule over us. When it comes to statehood, we're equals. Doesn't matter if we're much smaller than they are. We're equals when it comes to statehood. I know they hate that idea, but we are. And they're not allowed to tell us what to do, and we can't tell them what to do. But through various environmental laws, some of the bigger states are trying to bully the smaller states. And some conservative states, about 19 Republican states, their attorneys general are getting together to go to the Supreme Court. They can't do that. They can make whatever environmental law that they want to make within their own borders. But they cannot make environmental law that affects us. If any such law is to be created, it's got to be created by the federal government through Congress. That's the way we're set up. not because one state decided to make a law that is going to affect all other states. It's just, and that's where we are right now in this position. States like California and about 5 others are making environmental policy that, as one attorney general said in Alabama, if you're buying gas from a gas station in Alabama, that gas station can be sued because they're affecting climate change, by some other state, like a Minnesota state court, something like that. That's what they're going after. All right. And then it even goes after the idea of climate change itself, which is a whole other issue, but that's mentioned. If you think there's a climate crisis over there in California, that's great, but in Wyoming, not so much. So, all right, coming up on some local business we have to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. National, local, update on your weather forecast. And, of course, like Steve just did, open phone. So it doesn't matter what I was about to talk about. You can go ahead and change the subject if you want. That works just fine for me. Oh, and then, let's see here. And then you got Frank Gambino and stuff like that. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff I'm going to have to push over for Wednesday. Which, by the way, today is Tuesday, not Monday. I know that's screwing with some of you out there. Now, hang on. Roll with it. We'll get through this together. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Friday. So many opinions, we had to build the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app to hold them all. Free download from AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:36 the time. Wake Up Wyoming. We just had an interesting discussion over there at Miss Mary's office. It is Tuesday, not Monday. I know it still feels like Monday mode. And today is acting like a Monday, but it's not. It's Tuesday. All right. Down to Denver, Colorado real quick. Hey, Denver, you're up. You shouldn't be happy about it. Not at all. Denver offers a how-to guide on turning cities into taxpayer-funded illegal immigrant sanctuaries. Now, as I've said many times before, it sounds wonderful to declare yourself a sanctuary city. But then you have to do it. And that's where it just sucks. It's horrible. All right, so here's the story. A guide titled Newcomers Playbook. So you can't call them illegal immigrants. They're newcomers. A guide to welcoming newcomers to your city. And its authors say they are thrilled to offer their guide on how to plan and implement a sanctuary city. I am not kidding. This is actually a guide that somebody wrote. The guide exclaims, "We are thrilled that you're interested in creating a welcoming environment for migrants in your city. As part of Denver's welcoming approach, we use the term newcomers to refer to migrants, illegal immigrants, recognizing they are new to our city and embrace more inclusive language. This playbook is a guide to divided into sections, offering accommodations and strategies and all sorts of things like that." Rich is on the road. Hello, Rich.
Well, if you're such a smart man, nobody else could answer this.
Okay.
And I thought maybe you could. Why would we want to spend money capturing CO2 in the High Plains Desert?
Mm-hmm. Because, now, here's the wrong answer. Because people think that CO2 is a pollutant and is causing a climate crisis. But you and I know that more CO2 in a high plains desert will mean a greener desert. Much like when we go over to the Middle East or North Africa, the deserts out there are actually getting greener in part because of CO2.
Right.
Yeah.
But another question. If catching this CO2 is such a developed deal, why don't they catch it that they're complaining off of these coal-fired generators?
Yeah. Well, this is what they want to do is capture.
Technology is here.
You see, here's the deal. They want to capture it off the CO. They want to capture the CO2 off the generators and pump it into the ground. And if they don't do it by a certain date, those generators have to shut down. Now, that's a law that we're currently, not a law. Well, it's something that the bureaucrats in D.C. wrote at the EPA. And states like Wyoming, we have to comply, or, those coal power plants have to go out of business. So we're currently in a lawsuit against that. But also Wyoming, apparently, through our governor, wants to suck CO2 out of the thin air as well, which, as you know, would be very bad.
Yeah. But if that's a proven technology, why don't they set it up around these coal-fired generators?
Now you just hit on the clue there, because it's not a proven technology. Now, here's an idea that a friend of mine up in Gillette came up with. And I laughed, and I stopped laughing. And I thought, actually, that's a brilliant idea. So, as you know, if you were to set up a greenhouse in your backyard, and we'll say it's a pretty good sized one, if you want a successful greenhouse, you want one that is warm, humid, and full of CO2. So why not build some really big greenhouses right by coal power plants and just pump all of that steam coming out of their stacks right into the greenhouses?
Now, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
But see, that would make sense and would work.
Can't do that, no. And if you think about it, the plants inside the greenhouse would be capturing carbon, right?
Yeah.
So that's the best carbon capture idea ever. If they want to capture carbon, why not just use it to grow more?
Exactly.
All right.
But that don't make sense to bureaucrats and left.
No, of course not. No. All right, Rich. Glad we had this little talk.
Got this explained.
I appreciate your time. Thank you, Rich. So, I never did understand the idea of trying to, and we're trying to do even the state of Wyoming. Carbon capture comes in a couple of different flavors in the state of Wyoming. One is capture it right out of coal and natural gas plants and pump it into the ground. And the other one is to suck it right out of thin air. But if you read, to drop one name, NASA studies, NASA for one, that's one of many places, they show that the Earth has been getting greener. And they directly attribute that to CO2, making a greener planet. If you want a greener planet, the planet needs to be warmer and have more CO2 in the air, not less. And yet, for some reason, we're treating this as it's some kind of a pollutant. But I always did like that idea. Build some really big greenhouses right next to coal power plants and natural gas power plants. And then just let that steam that comes out of the stacks, instead of coming out of the stacks, it's pumped directly into the greenhouses. Now, what makes a successful greenhouse? It's warmer. It's, especially in the wintertime, much warmer. It's humid. And there's excess CO2. All of that leads to big, healthy plants. It's a great idea. I would love for someone to seriously look into that. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Listen to Glenn Woods anywhere you roam with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:48 the time. Wake Up Wyoming. Off to the icebox we go. Frank Gambino's waiting by. Frank, according to Cowboy State Daily, the NFL Network put Wyoming in the spotlight.
It was the old football team from Heart Mountain.
Yeah.
Up in Powell, which was the Japanese-American camp, right around World War II. Uh-huh. I have not did a whole bunch of research about this team. I know that they did play. Patrick Schmidt, who is a high school sports guru, was on that documentary that NFL Network did. So it was pretty cool. I mean it's cool for him. I need to do a little bit more research exactly how long they played, but right. So the NFL Network did an entire documentary on that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, so you saw this then, huh?
I haven't seen it. I saw that. I knew it was coming.
Okay. Okay, now where do I find the NFL Network?
It's on cable.
Okay,
or your streaming service.
I don't know.
It's on television.
Sports.
I mean, sometimes maybe after a while when it's done, it'll be on YouTube or something.
Oh, okay, might be able to find something like that. Okay, because that was No, see, so this team, of course, existed as long as they were in the internment camps, right?
As far as I,
as far as you know.
As far as I know, I know just the absolute basics about it.
Okay,
and maybe not even that much.
And what little I do know is, so while the kids were interred there, they still had to go to school, and so they made a sports team at the school, and then local high schools around Wyoming played them. Very cool.
Yeah. It's an really unusual part of not only Wyoming history, but even in this country, what they were doing with people, and then tried to then all of a sudden they're in the middle of Wyoming and sports teams, and it's an interesting deal there.
Yeah. And I would love to know. And this is something I actually want to watch myself now, because like some other documentaries, it's not so much I'm not interested in sports. I don't care. I'm interested in how they played, what the team was all about, and where the kids went after that. I mean, I wonder, how old are they now? Do they even remember this?
That's we'll have to watch.
We'll have to see, because if you figure it out, this is in the 1940s, so we're talking teenagers then, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they would be old guys now, but still, there might be some of them still around, and I would love to know where they are. And
they might even be in. They might even be in that documentary.
Who knows? Okay. Now that's another thing I'd like to see. Anybody else from that era that might be around that might remember any of this?
There you go. All righty, and American Legion baseball in Wyoming from over the weekend. First on Saturday, Cheyenne Post 6 over North Platte, Nebraska 6-0. The Laramie A Rangers defeated the Casper Wildcats 10-2 and 7-5 in a doubleheader. Then on Sunday, the Cheyenne Sixers beat North Platte, Nebraska in the first game of a doubleheader 15-5 and lost the nightcap 8-7. The Douglas beat the Cheyenne Eagles 11-4 and 2-1 in a twin bill. The Casper Drillers over Bozeman, Montana up in Sheridan 4-2, and the Drillers also beat the Sheridan Jets 10-5. And on Monday, the Casper Oilers and the Laramie Rangers AA team split a doubleheader. The Rangers won the first game 2-0 and the Oilers won the second game 6-1. In Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies will take on Cleveland again tonight in Denver. The Rockies beat the Guardians yesterday 8-6 as Charlie Blackmon had a home run and he drove in 4. The Rockies had 6 runs in the fourth inning. They're 19-34, and they just beat Philadelphia 2 out of 3, and the Phillies were leading the NL East, one of the better teams in baseball. So maybe the Rockies have got something here, maybe not. We'll see about that. We'll see about tonight's game. Also in the NBA playoffs, Boston over Indiana 105-102. The Celtics win that series 4-0. Second time in 3 years the Celtics have made it to the NBA Finals, and they will play either Dallas or Minnesota. For all the marbles, Dallas is leading the Western Conference Finals 3-0, and Game 4 will be tonight. In the Stanley Cup playoffs in hockey, Dallas beat Edmonton yesterday 2-1, so the Stars are leading the Western Conference Finals 2-1, and the New York Rangers will take on Florida tonight in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Rangers are leading that one 2-1. That's it in sports.
So how is it every so often the Rockies will play a game and you'll look at them and go, why haven't you been doing that the whole time?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're all over the board. They played 3 decent teams relatively decently. And then there's sometimes you go, holy cow, these guys, why is that guy even on the Major League roster?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay.
And then they're just, they have 2 complete personalities. And teams that are good, you try it down to get to 1. It's either you're going to have a winning culture and you win, or then you're really, really bad, then you're like, all right, that's who you are. I'll give the credit to Rockies for this. On Saturday's game, because I was over in South Dakota, then I went to Saturday's game, the Rockies game, and there were more Philadelphia fans than there were Rockies fans.
Wow.
Easily.
Okay.
And there were probably 30,000 people there. And then the Rockies looked halfway decent until the end, and they fell apart,
Okay.
So if you're looking to find fans that are going to Rockies games, it is the opponent that is bringing a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
Easily.
That's why the stands are full.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go kick the Rockies' butts. It'll be funny.
Well, yeah, and then their fans will come and spend all that money, and then there'll be lots of fun.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on, now remember, today's Tuesday. It's not Monday. It's a Tuesday here. So we're coming up. I know some of you are confused about this. Coming up on some local business we have to take. We're going to roll into news time after that. National local update on your weather forecast. It's Wake Up Wyoming.